There we go. Good afternoon, Shaky SoCal for Tool for Forza and new season of Thursday Night Thunder in the 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia quadrifolio, meaning I think four-leaf clover or four leaves. So, we had our shakedown, testing last Thursday, which they're always fun. I mean, again, no points in the line. We are driving standards. We're a little less courteous to each other because it's more about just putting some laps in, having some fun, and invariably or inevitably it always degenerates into several people deciding that let's see what this course is like going the other direction. So, but did learn a few things about the car, and again we get a good preview of what's to come. So. First up is going to be, I believe the first race will be at Hakone here on the Clip Circuit. Hang on, let me just check. Okay, I do have the TV volume down. So standard track guide. I'm going to go out, run a couple of out laps, just kind of refresh my brain a little bit on the circuit, what this car likes and what it doesn't like. Then I'll probably do kind of like the track walk. I'll just take it a little bit slower, go corner by corner. What am I looking for? What is what do I feel the car is doing? What am I paying attention to? What am I looking out for? And then, because I do want to get a little bit more traffic, is I'll run a kind of a mock race of what I think the race length will be. Again, I can't factor in all the bucket delays, and then just kind of see where see what traffic is like. A lot of this, just to get something out there, so I can just try and figure out timing. I think timing is going to be something I'll talk about a bit here during that race. But anyhow, that's the preview. That's what's to come. So let's just go ahead. I'm on medium tires with a full tank of fuel. Let's just go out and start running some laps. I don't know if I'll be going that fast. So this is again this isn't a NASCAR. This car is a bit heavier, and at least the two main things is, again, production car with some racing parts thrown on it. Excuse me, but it's going to have a tendency to understeer. But then to compound that, because it's also rear-wheel drive, even with the race tires, and I think even with the widest tires on the rear, the back end tires like to spin up if you're not careful on your throttle. And then to compound that, depending on where weight transfer is and what you're doing with the throttle, this car doesn't like curbs. Mainly any outside curbs when you're setting up like that for the entry to a corner or the exit. You want to be a little bit careful how much curbing you use and kind of what the car is doing if you do get on the curbs. So it's a little bit late. Tires still warming up, a little bit pushy. Let's just clock one in here. So I'm going to look for the first board. I think that's the 200 brake just before it. Still a little bit wide. Ideally, I'd like to get kind of the inside of that turn there. Going to miss the second apex. I'm going to aim for the third one late. And then I actually like a wider line into the I call it a chicane because it is a left-right combo. On the curbing are a little confidence lift just to make sure I don't push wide on exit. Going to brake at the 150 board. For the curbing, release there, turn in, still a little bit off there. Down the hill, going to brake at the 100 board. Again, I'm going to turn in late. I want to late apex this one as much as I can because I'd like to be really no more than mid-track when I set up for the final turn on the front stretch. And again, be careful of the exit curbing there. So we'll do one more, and then we'll do the track walk. I'm going to do this a little bit better. Yeah, it helps if I look where I'm going. If I look where I want the car to go. get this any better this time. Even the medium, so again, full fuel, it's still a little bit understeery. A little bit late on the braking. All right, we'll do the track walk here. So fifth gear heading down the front straightaway. Yeah, again, depending on the tire, braking distances will adjust. So medium tire, it's for me, it's all about the 200 board. The harder the compound, the further back I'm going to have to probably start braking. The hards are probably going to be probably more about here. Maybe the mediums, I'm almost at it, and then maybe on the softs, if I run the softs, you might be able to brake at the 200 board. So I think it just depends on the tire you're running and how confident are you. Now, ideally, what I would like to do, because this first, I don't know if it's all turn one or if it's three. I don't know how Forza counts this opening series of turns, but it is kind of like a triple apex corner. But it's also weird in that there's a little bit of elevation change. The inside, especially early on, it's kind of off camber. So it's a challenging corner, but I kind of treat it as a triple apex. Ideally, you want to hit the first one, miss the second one, and then I prefer to aim late for the third. That's kind of the line I take. So um, on the way in, let me get back to first gear. If I get the braking right, I am actually going to brake in towards the inside curbing to get the car slowed down, release third gear, let the car on the curbing here. It's going to start to drift, it'll drift out kind of the middle of the track. I don't. That's about where I want the car. I don't really want to go past mid track at this point and trying to finish this corner off. But you can kind of see where you can kind of start to see where it kind of crests back down a little bit further. You'll get the feeling that the inside is higher. It slants out a little bit. It's a weird corner, um, but being out mid track, I think you're it's a little bit flatter. You're not as much off camber. You can experiment with the throttle and try to find, you don't want the rear spinning up at this point. But I'm going to miss this apex here, so I'll stay out wide. And the second I can spot the curbing for the final apex, I'm going to try and bring the car back across. At this point, I should be back to full throttle. And I'm actually trying to get the car to the right side, as the curbing ends. So I prefer to have the car here, and I prefer to do I think the racing line will already have you starting to kind of move to the left to the entry to the chicane. I actually prefer a later, at least I think it's a later turn in. I actually want to keep the car to the right side here, and I'm actually going to start turning in as I get to the transition in the paint here on the outside of the corner, on the outside of the track. So I'll start turning in a bit early and have a wider entry. And it's the second light pole here is what I'm aiming for, is kind of where I'm trying to apex the car. So I'm going to bring the car back over here, just past that one, probably between the middle and the final light pole. This is about where I want to apex, get to the curbing. I may cross across it. I may, you can get the left sides across the curbing. That's fine. What I find consistently, at least for me, these two sets of corners, as far as abusing the curbing, this one is riskier to bring the tires, to bring the left sides across and bring them back across. It's coming back across that, depending on what you're doing at the time, where you have the wheel, are you starting to turn back the direction? I haven't quite figured it out, but the backside of this curbing, depending on the state of the car, can upset it a little bit unexpectedly, coming back across. So ideally, I will try to keep it neat and tidy here. I might get the left sides on the curb, but I'm not going to purposely try to cross over the backside of it. So that's won't always happen. I'm sure I'll have a moment or two. Um, but again, just got on the curbing a little bit late. This one, I don't have a definitive turning point. I'm just trying to look at the inside here. This curving I do abuse. So I'm going to try and bring the car back across and use as much of, the apron as I can. So I will cross over here, have all, it's basically going to have the right sides across the curving. I'm almost going to have the lefts to the curving. But what I'm going to do is in kind of cutting this short, I want to bring the car back across where, again, if you look at the apron, the painted apron here, where the white transitions back to red, that point where that white and red meets the backside of the curbing, that's where I'm aiming to bring the car back across onto the asphalt. So if I do it right, I'll be across here, the car will come back across at this point, and then I'm aiming to exit the car, have the car to the left side. Again, looking at the red and white transition here on the outside, is to bring the car out to the left side here and be at the curbing. Now, as I come back across the curbing, and depending on how much steering I have in the wheel, I'll have a moment to kind of decide, if I'm full throttle, is the car gonna is the car gonna hold? And again, this is where everybody deals with, there's two different ways to deal with understeer. For me, I tend not to try and, already put some steering in. I don't want to start cranking a whole bunch of steering in, excuse me, um, just because it puts extra wear on the front tires. Plus, then if it's pushing and all of a sudden the car slows enough where it grips up, the car might start to lurch back to the right. So for me, it's always, my first instinct is to probably crack the throttle a little bit, just to give the fronts just enough of the grip, just enough time to grip back up without having to throw a whole bunch of steering back into it, and then I can roll back into the throttle. Um, so definitely, I think even on the harder compounds, even on the mediums, I think most of us are still going to be lifting a little bit, as we transition, onto the back straightaway here. The softs you might be able to get away going flat out once they're up to temp. We'll see. Um, but that's how I handled the chicane. So again, sorry, nose itches a little bit. Have the car to the left side here, fourth gear, fifth gear, heading up. And again, we're not doing the full circuit, we're doing the club. So I take a little bit, again, kind of comparing what I've seen from the AI and probably what the braking line suggests. The braking line kind of probably has this arc into the corner. Um, just because with threshold braking or heavy braking, the car's not going to want to steer, and the car's already a little understeered to begin with. I'd rather point the car and brake in a straight line towards where I want to release the brake and then turn, than to try to. Again, I'm not trail braking's not my forte. Um, the consequence is, depending, especially early on, is the point that I'm releasing the brakes. I probably don't have the car turned far enough, for the full turn in for the corner. It's hard to describe. Probably easier to show. But what I'm trying to do is at the 150 board, I'll start to turn in a little bit, and I'm aiming for, if you look up where the wall is, you'll see the white paint for the apron on the outside of the corner. That's what I'm aiming for, because I know that's where the outside curving is. That's what I want to aim for in the braking. So I'm going to turn the car slightly in. The 150 board's about where I'm going to be braking, heavy braking, and I'm just pointing the car straight to it. And I think the braking line wants you to be a little more parallel here, and then kind of arc in at that point. To each their own. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm telling you what I'm doing. Um, if I'm doing something wrong and you have a better way, then you'll be able to outrun me on Thursday. But I'll brake towards the curbing here, and my goal is to get the left side tires at the curbing. I might even hit the curbing. But if I do it right about here is where I'm going to finish my braking. Now, what what I was talking about positioning is for the turn in for the corner. If you're able to do the more arc it in a little more, not straight and then turn, but arc it in a little bit more, you'll probably be a little bit more parallel with this outside curbing than what I'm probably going to be doing lap over lap. Um, the car might be in a little bit better position for this next turn in. Probably early on, what you'll see for me is, because I'm braking straight towards that curb, is, and this is probably a little exaggerated, at the point that I'll be releasing it, my car is going to be pointed here, versus parallel. So now all of a sudden I've got a little bit further to get the car turned in for the apex. So I'm not saying one is quicker or slower. I'm just kind of just pointing out this is what I'm doing and what it'll look like, maybe compared to what you'll see from the braking line or from other drivers. Again, to each their own. You find what works best for you and allows you to be as consistent as possible. So brake, 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 brake. I'm going to release the brakes at the curbing and third gear and start the turn in. And for me, the apex here is right where the apron turns from red to green. So it's going to be a common theme. You're going to see me using the apron colors changing as far as helping me find where I think the apex is. So I want the car to the curbing at this point. Then I can start rolling back into the throttle. My exit out is probably going to be about where the red wall ends, about to here. Um, Sometimes I think my turn in will probably be a little bit earlier, especially early on. So my exit, I might have to adjust the throttle a little bit to get the car out. Um, as you can see, if you get on the curbing, it is pretty bumpy. I would say if you're going to get your left sides on the curbing, make sure the car is straight. You don't want to be. This is one of the corners, and I think the final corner of the exit. This is one of those corners where if you still have a lot of steering, if you have enough steering in the car and you have the weight on the left side, especially on the left rear, and you just kiss the curving with it and you're full throttle, you're trying to get back to throttle, it will be enough to pitch the back end of this car sideways and send you back across the track. Saw that a couple of times, especially in the final corner during the test races. So I think that's the thing to be careful of. If you're going to get on this outside curving, make sure your car is straight, and then just gradually bring it back across and get back on the track. Hanging on the last couple of corners, keeping the left side. I'm aiming for the 100 board for braking and probably release just past the 50. It's a late turn in. I'm trying to, again, we're in this last complex of corners. I want to try and late apex this one as much as I can. For me, the apex is, well, I don't know. It's somewhere, I think where I'm trying to get to the apex again is about where the apron paint goes from red to white, is what I'm mainly looking for. On the exit, this is where I've been fairly inconsistent. I'm not trying to, I don't want to be, if I'm going to go into the pits, I want to try and keep it to the right side, completely to the right side so I have an easy pit in. I think for me, this one is I'm going to let the car come off, maybe get to about mid-track. But what I want to be able to do is I want to give the car, again, I'm coming out of this corner, you're turning right, the weight's on the left side of the car. I want to bring this car back and give it a moment to get the weight centered before I turn, make this final left-hand turn and have the weight shift to the right side of the car. I don't want to put a situation where the weight's all the way in the left and I'm immediately throwing it all the way to the right. Again, the back end with the way the tires and the throttle, it's easy to spin the rear up and get the back end loose. So anything I can do to give the car just that moment, just that, give it a chance to breathe before I shift its weight again, I think is ideal. So still third gear, turn in. I'm going to aim to get the car to the curbing, right where the white, the Hakone, the white painted waves are there on the left side, and try to keep it at that curbing. And then it's hard for me to describe this one. Again, it is a 90-degree corner, but if that's about the apex, I'll still be kind of managing the throttle, but as I have that steering in, I'm not going to follow the curbing all the way to the exit. I just have enough curbing to get to the apex, and as the car starts to come off, that's where I'll start to experiment with, like, can I get back to the throttle? Can I get back to the throttle? How do I might have to give it a little more steering, but if I do it right, ideally I should be able to get the car out of the corner and point it down to the front straightaway here without getting on the outside curbing here. Yeah, they give you that little bit of runoff to cross the curbing. You got a little bit of tarmac to then bring the car back across. Um, but this is one in the shakedown races. I saw at least one or two occasions where their line out because they had steering they had left steering in. They were trying to roll back into the throttle, and they were probably close to full throttle. They just touched the right sides on the curbing, and that right rear spun up and just pitched the car sideways and put him, on the left side of the track. So that is going to be something we're going to be dealing with this car. Is you've got a back end that will step out on you if you're not careful and you're not paying attention. Um, with this tune, I don't know that Sport TSCS is needed. I think it's driver preference and driver comfort. I think some of the test tunes that were out there before, the back end was much more snappy on throttle. So yeah, I was contemplating. It's like, yeah, I think we're gonna need TCS. This tune, I think it's a bit more. You get a little bit more warning, um, and so though there is at least one circuit on this season that I'm probably like, yeah, I'm probably going to run TCS just because the nature of the course is it's really bumpy. And but anyhow, that's for another track guide. We're here at Hakone. That's a lap of Hakone and kind of how I'm approaching it. So with that, let's figure out kind of what we think the race length is going to be and maybe where I might be able to make some passes or set up some passes. So let's get out of this. Exit. We'll go ahead and quit race. Go all the way out. So advanced setup. We'll choose the Alfa. Yeah, that one. The one with the paint job. Let's load options. And yeah, we'll do this one. Okay, so we'll see how this works. I was farting around with this last night. I think we're going to run 25 laps. Random, that's fine. Rolling. 4x time skill, 20% rubber, random weather. I'm not going to run rain, but let's just see what it comes up with. Driver difficulty, that's all good. I'm a half second. My group will start a half second behind the last car in the them group. They're going to have a roll-off delay as well. Well, they're going to start. They're going to have an individual roll-off delay of half second. So we're all going to be spaced out a little bit. And again, just trying to play around with again, because I'm in a production car that's not necessarily running a standard tune for its division. It's sometimes hard to find drivatars that are at least going to give somewhat, at least give me something competitive. I mean, and just in a sense of, yeah, I want to be able to pass some cars. There are going to be some really slow ones that'll pass easily, and it's just timing that. I'd like to have a few cars where I'm trying to chase them down, and then who knows, maybe a situation where, depending on tire strategy and pit strategies, I'm having to try and defend. So I'm going to go up against the Forza Touring car group, but I'm going to limit their PI into that 700 to 800 range. This tune on the Giulia is 746, and I think comparatively it's going to be a difference between, I'm going to have straight line advantage with this car, they're going to have handling advantage. So we'll see how that plays out. So sport rules, standing start, we're going to grid order by PI, but we're going to put it in ascending order. No, we don't. PI, I want the faster guys starting up front. Again, if I put the faster guys at the back, sometimes the drivatars, they kind of, they're a little tentative in racing each other. Not always, but enough where it's like, the fast guys aren't going to work their way through traffic as quickly as maybe I will. So we'll put the fast guys up front. One mandatory pit stop. I think we'll try that in one. And number of car groups. Okay, I think we're good. All right, let's see what it gives us. Yeah. Again, I say no rain, and Forza doesn't hear the no and just says, no, you want rain? No, I don't want rain. But we'll do nighttime. Make me adjust my eyes a little bit. So event setup. Sorry, Forza. Thunderstorm. No, we'll let you try again. We'll keep night. That's fine. Patchy fog. I'll take patchy fog. Okay. And let's see what we got for. Yeah, so good. We got a good mix. Again, the car is probably running the high 700s. Are probably going to outrun me on handling alone. That's fine. So let's talk about tire strategy. Which again, you listen to me for tire strategy, knowing that I suck at tire strategy and to probably not do what I do. Um, but one of the things I have learned or kind of realized late in the NASCAR season is now that we're doing qualifying, the races are now shortened by about 5 laps, or not 5 laps, 5 minutes. So that's anywhere 2 to 3 laps a race. Um, in previous seasons, that would almost guarantee with a 5X tire wear that it's a two-stopper in most cases. Now that the races are that just that couple laps shorter, trying to do it on one stop less, maybe doing a one stopper here. Um, it is a little more viable if you're good on your tires and you can put up with a really understeery car. So I'm gonna play around with that myself because I found that when I was able to do a one-stop strategy in the NASCAR, I actually finished fairly well. Excuse me. But for here at Hakone, on the controller, we're hitting 60% wear, soft, medium, hard at lap 6, lap 9, and lap 12. It's a 25 lap race. I'm actually going to try and go, we'll go, let's see if I can go 15. We're going to see if I can do 15 on the hards and 10 on the mediums and do 25 laps that way and see if I can do it in one less stop. And see where the wear is at. Like, do I hit the wear at the same place? I'm not going to run TCS. Again, I think most of the courses are smooth enough. The track is smooth enough that as long as I'm careful on curbing, I should be able to manage the throttle myself. So anyhow, all right, I'm doing too much talking here. Let's just go ahead and let's get the car set up. So fuel and tire. We're going to run the hards first because I actually want to see if I can get 15 laps out of them. Even if I get 14, then that's 11 on the medium. So that might even be a strategy there. So ideally, I want to see if I can get 15. And we'll go 26 laps on the hards. Okay. We don't have to deal with fuel. All right, let's start race and see what happens. Nice to be back in cars with headlights and taillights. And again, the staggered start at least allows the field to kind of stretch out, so I'm not passing huge chunks of cars into the first corner because they're all bunched together. Inside, yeah, I'll still brake a little bit early just so I don't run into the back of the car in front of me. And let the car out. And hard tires, cold tires. Excuse me. Make it a little bit easy in this opening lap. So you can see they take a little bit more. They hold it out to the left side a little bit longer. I'm just not comfortable doing that yet. A little bit early. Decent run here. I'm actually going to look to the outside. And push, 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 push. It's tempting to really stab the throttle in the final corner, but that back end just you're like, nope. Okay, I think I see what part of my problem there is. I'm bringing the car across to the left side a little bit late, so I'm not getting it pointed enough towards the inside of the first corner. That's why I'm a little bit wide of the apex there. A little bit better. It felt a little awkward though. Need to work on that. There's a good run. I'm going to take a look. Wide. Get the pass done. And just be careful because he's going to get a heck of a run out of the final corner because his car is very heavy. Lift. That's not too bad. A little worried there. So we'll do a tire check here at the end of lap 7, and that'll help us kind of figure out, am I going to get 15 or we're going to have to pit sooner? Again, throttle and just again the pulsing of the throttle is just kind of me kind of asking the car. It's like, how much grip do you have? Where are we at? Patch. See, I knew there were things I forget to set up before. Yeah, 14 is possible. We'll be right about 70, a little over 70% probably. I don't know if 15 is going to be really sketchy, but let's try it. That's why we practice. You notice that a lot of these corners, I mean, they're what I would consider medium speed corners. My initial application is it's slow until I'm sure I'm out of the corner. A lot of it is also kind of dependent, like where I'm at with the wheel. The straighter the wheel is, the more comfortable I am trying to get to full throttle. Looks like I'm kind of in that holding pattern right now where I'm not really catching the guy in front of me. Like it's someone catching me. Turning a little bit early just to cover the inside. No, you shall not pass. Minor. A bit late. These are definitely the front runners here. Yep. Tires are getting worn. At this point, I just got to do the best I can. Just be consistent, be smooth. If I can manage to hold these guys up a little bit, that's helpful, but at the same time, I don't want to severely compromise my race. Again, it's trying to play the long game. If I'm going to do this on one stop, it's knowing when to fight and when not to. And if you're going to fight, how hard do you fight? And if I really try to aggressively defend, am I going to wear my tires out that much quicker where the one-stop strategy I'm going for won't work? Just put it in the middle of the track, make them think about it. There's moderate on 13. Throttle here a little bit. I don't have as much grip. This is where they're going to get me. I just don't have the grip. Oh yeah. Long game. Trying to do this on one fewer stop than probably most of the field. Yeah. And I also don't want to. I'm actually going to run a 15th. I'm going to be pushing. Wouldn't surprise me if I hit 80% by the end of the lap, but I don't want to. I'd almost rather suffer on their 70. I'd almost want to suffer on a set of worn hards than still maybe have a little bit of tire left on the mediums at the end of the race. Earlier, just come on, turn. I have to let him by. Let's break a little early and let me get to the right side. No, I'm going in the pits. Leave me alone. Okay. So about 75, almost 75%. Yeah, those last two laps, not fun. Not fun. All right, let's see where I come out at. Get the 150, just keep it to the inside, just in case there's traffic, and then just let the car slowly come out, and then back on the racing line. That's what I will aim to do. Okay, so we've fallen back, so we're now back to 18th. if the majority of the field are going to be making a second stop, should bring me back up the order. It's a question of how far. It's a little bit late, but I have more grip now. In the middle of that corner, that second apex where you kind of go over a crest there, just be careful the rears will spin up there too. Whoops. It's going to be a time penalty.
Total time penalty is about a second.
There. Running a little early. See what the tires are at the end of this lap. I'll be probably asking them to go one lap longer than they want to. Yeah, that's going to be 67% on that left front. Last lap's going to be fun. Especially with the crowd I've got lining up behind me. Hopefully I can, be just quick enough on the straights to frustrate them in the last couple of corners. That's another penalty.
Total time penalty is about 1.5 seconds.
That's the risk of abusing that curb. Copy that. It's minor.
Lap.
10th. I'm not sure I'm going to hold 10th though on penalty. Come on. Oh, come on. It's just amazing. Like once that moderate hits, just the tires just go off a cliff. Might finish 12th. By the looks of the crowd of cars behind me. They're definitely going to be quicker through here. Could start fighting each other, which would help me. Oh, come on, come on. Turn. Turn. there's yeah, probably 12. Maybe 13. Oh, wow. It let me keep 10th. Surprised. Well, how much though? Okay. 28.5 to 28.7. It's kind of weird. They were a little bit closer than I think they than the game uh, says they were. But anyhow, 28 minutes total time. There might be. I think that's in the ballpark. Again, if it's like a minute lap, it might be 26 laps, and we'll see what Matt pops up with. But to do it one stop, if it's anything more than 25, a one stopper really gets risky. Then you're looking at 15 and 11, for medium and hard, or hard and medium. But yeah, that's Hakone. The car, the smoother you can be here, as far as your steering, your throttle input, I think the better your race will go. And then again, just mindful of the outside curbs. But that'll do it for this track guide. I'm going to take a little bit of a quick break and get reset up, because I think the other race is, if I remember the order correctly, is Mugello's club circuit. So we'll set up and do a track guide there. So hope you're having a good weekend so far. Happy day after Valentine's Day, and happy racing. Someday I'll get used to this. There we go. Stop.